4, 3, 2. And we are live. What's up, everybody? Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're here. Welcome back to another episode of the Good Life Visual Audio Podcast. I'm C Muzan. I got Kabi here in the building. Say what's up, Kabi.
What up, dude?
What up, Doe? In the building, fresh out of bed, fresh off the nap.
Listen, y'all, let me tell y'all something. Apparently, moving will take something out of you, man. I'm telling you, I am drained. So, what happened was, I was like,
Tell us.
I got like 2 hours. No problem. I'm going to go ahead and take this break. I'm going to wake up like an hour, something left. I'm going to set up my equipment. I'm going to be ready to go for the show. I wake up. So, wife, what time is it? She said 5. I said, wow, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So that's what happens here. But we're coming to you straight. We don't hide nothing on the show, man. We lay it out just the way it is.
No need to hide anything. This is the good life, and we all live a real life. So, on the good life, we have to make sure that we are encompassing the real life, the things that are really happening,
That's
like that
right.
ambulance or that fire
In the back,
that
man. I'm
in the
telling you.
back. It's
In the
happening.
back.
It's happening. But here's a lesson to all the people that are listening, guys. Hey, you need your rest. Get your rest. There's some things that, might throw you off throughout the day. If it's moving, if it's picking up some strenuous activity, you still got to have your rest. You still got to have your rest. There's a book that I read out of. It's called 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. It's by Steve Siebold. And one of the
Mm,
things in there, one of the tips in there for the secrets of the world class is that they mastered their rest and relaxation cycle,
mm.
right? They master that cycle of how they rest, how they relax, how they recover. That cycle for a world class performer, uh, they master it. And it's often the amateurs that don't master that cycle, that'll go too long and then burn out and then have to take 3 weeks off and then can't focus. And it's because they haven't mastered that rest, rejuvenation, relaxation cycle. So sleep is important. It
It's
is.
critical, man. It's critical. And I myself have been neglecting this last few days, as you know, man. It's been full throttle. Move under the cover at night. When I did so a couple days ago, right? So we packed. Had to get we're nervous about some fragile things, right? So packed the car, drove it down from San Francisco to Santa Monica, turned around same day, went back, right, and then I packed the rest of the house, and then moved the rest of the stuff within the next 48 hours. So made that trip twice in the next 48 hours, and then got here unpacked, no, somewhat unpacked. It's a mess right now. I'm telling you that. And yeah, been neglecting that rest part, man, and it just knocked me out.
Yep.
Um,
It catch
but
ups. It catches up to you, man. It catches up to you. And I'm sure this is like we're kind of joking about it a bit, but like I'm sure this is something people can resonate with. Like,
no, for sure.
no,
If you can't, you're not human.
that's very true, right? It's very true. Like I think people can naturally just know when they're pushing themselves, pushing their bodies, pushing the limits of it, and body just needs the rest. Right, body just literally needs it. I was talking to somebody, one of my clients yesterday, and she was talking about an event that she had done over the past weekend. That she got back on Monday, kind of threw her off a little bit. She was off, but she was like, I basically slept for like 2 days. She was like, I needed to sleep, like
Mm,
after coming from this event. And it's funny because I had a similar sentiment, like maybe 3 weeks ago or a month ago, where I threw an event. It was a long weekend. It was a lot of stuff that was going into it. And I probably
mm,
had neglected that rest and rejuvenation, that sleep cycle. And it hit me on the day back where I was like, man, I'm exhausted. Like, I don't even know how I got this tired. Uh, but I think this is a common thing. This is a common thing. And today's show, we were going to talk about anyway the tips from a health perspective and a wealth perspective that you need as we're coming out of the summer, heading into fall, schedules changing, people moving, lots of stuff happening, a lot of transitions. We're going to give you
Right.
guys some of the tips. And I think this is probably the first one, or one that we can elaborate on, is just getting your rest, right? Like, how does sleep really, and I think we had a show about how sleep affects the body and how it
Yeah.
affects the mind, right?
Yeah.
But
I think this is definitely one of the top ones. And I'll say this, one of the things I always say is harmony over balance. You can't always be balanced, but you can harmonize, meaning that there are going to be seasons where you're going to be out of whack a little bit, right? That's just kind of life. That's just how things happen. Whether you are moving, whether you just had a baby, whether the season calls for you to potentially be out of balance a little bit, but eventually you need to reharmonize, right? So, quite frankly, the rest of the week is going to be a little crazy for me as well, right? So by this weekend, I'm hoping to reharmonize, get a few hours back, get a few more hours of sleep, get a few more hours of like putting things back together. And that's gonna reharmonize my life. But quite frankly, it's just out of balance for a little bit. Right. And it's just kind of what the season called. I mean, a lot of folks who are waiting to be quote unquote perfectly balanced before they take a step, or perfectly balanced before something's happened, and that never comes. So as a result, they never really take any of those steps, or really never push, whether it's be with eating, whether it's be with sleep, whether it be with whatever. Usually it's one of those two things, right? It's usually eating, it's usually sleep. The third one will probably be movement, right? They're usually not getting enough movement. They're in a season where they're working a lot, so they're not getting things going. I wouldn't wait. Right? I wouldn't wait. Do the little thing, the little 10 minutes here, the little whatever it is that you can do in the moment. Do that, and that's going to help progress things forward. So, one of the things I'm going to do for sure, brother, listen, is we're gonna have to. I get an extra hour in tonight for sure.
You're gonna
But
need it.
Right,
That's it, man. And again, for everyone that's listening, these are the tips. Like, these are the things that happen. And I love how you put that, because I talk about it from a similar perspective, of that balance versus harmony conversation. Just in one of the simple things that you hear, that work-life balance, as an entrepreneur, and as there's this, oh, well, how's your work-life balance? And I've gotten out of the habit of saying work-life balance and gotten more into the work-life harmony, right?
Yeah.
Because balance, things can be off balance, right? Like, you don't have balance around everything all the time. That would,
No.
right, imply that, like, you're giving more to something, something's taking a loss on some things, right? But like, the harmony of it, how it just all flows, where you give the attention, how it's right, in a balancing sense, how it's balancing you. But the harmony of it, I think, is really the words that we have to start using when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a great, it's a great way to think about it, because if you're kind of like me, and this is something I've gotten used to over the years, is you're bothered when things are out of whack, when things aren't where they're supposed to be, right? I'm not getting 8 hours of sleep every night, right? So, man, it bothers me. Or I'm not getting, an hour and a half, 90 minutes of work every day, or 15, 20 minutes of meditation every day, right? That can throw a lot of people off, myself included. But if you think about a band, whether it's a concert band, jazz band, whatever sort of bands you like, well, the trumpet, the sax aren't going to be playing in the same volume all the time, right? They're not going to have the same pitch all the time. Some are going to be high, some are going to be low, some are going to be long, some are going to be short, some are going to be, at different intervals. But when you put them together, right, when you put them together and they harmonize, that
That's right.
creates a full sound. All right. And I think when we realize that there are certain aspects of our life that are going to sometimes shine a little brighter than others. Sometimes they're going to be a little bit more, whatever it be, high, low than others. And you put it all together. What does the full sound look like? And now listen now, listen up, pull close, pull close. Some are going to hear this and say, ah, so I don't have to work out for the next 10 years, right? Some are
Mm,
going to hear that. Some are going to hear that, but others are going to hear, oh, okay, I can give myself a little grace, right?
mm,
Or I can plan around this period of my life a little bit better, right? Maybe I'm not going to be able to perfectly hit on my macros in the next 2 3 weeks, but I can go ahead and focus a little bit more and getting some breath work in. Or I can focus a little bit more and spending time with family instead of going to the gym every day. And you know what? I'm going to make that up on the back end. Or so it's in having a plan, being flexible, looking forward, looking at where you are, and generally being truthful with yourself. I think too is helpful, but also being gracious with yourself too as we move into the next season.
yeah.
And one more thing I'll give, brother, and this is something I give off the top of my head when I think about moving, switching up seasons. Different seasons allow for different points of focus. Okay,
Mm,
so when it comes to, for example, in the winter time, right, you're going to spend less time outside than you're going to spend, right, than you would spend outside in the summertime, especially if you live in a four-season environment, right?
okay.
You in the winter time, for example, you might do more strength training than you would in the summertime. It's because it's a little colder. You be inside a little bit more. You might eat a little bit heavier, right, in your food intake because of what's available to you. Right, you're eating with the seasons. You might eat a little less fruit, but a little bit more of this of stuff that the earth gives you. Right, so it's important that we look at that stuff. Um, a great way, particularly when it comes to food, to think about that stuff is like, what is the earth providing right now? Maybe go out to, if you're able to, go out to a farmer's market, or just Google it, man. If you can't, just Google it. What in my area is being produced right now? What can I get the freshest? What's traveling the shortest distance to get to me, right? And those tend to usually be the things that the earth wants you to consume at that period of time. So within health as well. So as we transition into the season, into the from summer to the fall, is something to think about. Your movement's probably going to drop a little bit, right? Food is probably going to go from light, colorful type of. It's going to shift a little bit, get a little bit heavier. It might be time for you to put on a little bit of weight, put on a little bit of strength, right? It's probably not the best time to try, especially if we go fall to winter. Probably not the best time to try to drop a tremendous amount of weight, right? And it's okay to lean into that, right? It's
Mm.
okay to lean into that. I think that's one of the biggest things when it comes to switching up the seasons.
It's such good information, bro. I have a bunch to say about it, but like, how does someone know where to give themselves grace in this transition of a season? Should they go in with a plan, knowing what to change? Should they listen to their body? Should they just, like, how do you think people should transition from a health perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, man. I'll go from this perspective right here. You want to have a plan, all right? You want to have an overall general plan, but you want to more so stay true to the intention of the plan rather than the specifics. Okay. So what I mean by that is overall, what is the overall purpose of what you're trying to do? Now, there might be certain points in time where you will sacrifice specifics of the plan, but you know the overall intention. You're still moving in the general direction that you want to move in, but you want to be flexible within the specifics, the details of the plan. See, some people are such tight rule followers that sometimes they forget what is the purpose and the spirit of the law. What is it that it's trying to achieve, or what is it that it's trying to do, and can we still get there and maybe be a little bit flexible? And if you can't remember all that, you can think about it this way. Appreciate where you are right now, appreciate your position while plotting the next promotion, right?
Mm.
Right now, this is where I am. This is where I want to go. All right. Maybe it didn't go exactly the way I wanted to go. Maybe I didn't get in six small meals with X, Y, and Z, but I got in four and a half, right?
Mm.
So I think it's really important to remember that right there. All right.
Yeah.
What is the overall goal? Where am I heading? What's the general direction? When I look up, am I still going by the North Star? Am I still moving in that direction? Okay, it didn't go exactly as I planned here, but I still know I'm going in that general direction. So
That's
I think it's a crucial thing.
That's huge, man. That's huge. Having a plan is key. Right, like that's obviously 1,000% true on the financial side of things as well as you go into this next season, right? It's just having a plan. But the one thing I want to highlight before we move forward is giving yourself grace. This is something I struggled with a bunch,
Mm.
right? And to some degree, I might still struggle with it now. You know what I mean? Like I'm very hard on myself, hard on the plan. You talk about, right? Like people that are sticklers to the plan, right? That's me, right? Got to get this done, got to kind of be in this regimen. And I had to learn over time how to give myself grace in an area to say, you know what? Because I'm not going 100%, right, or 100 miles an hour down this direction, I might be going 50 miles an hour, but I'm going 100 down this direction, which is also equally as important to me right now. And this is still good, right? I learned this in when I was figuring out my work-life harmony between what I was doing with family, what I was doing in business. And a lot of my hours were going to business for some time. Then I hit a different season and I wanted my hours to go to family. Like I actively was like, man, I prefer to not be on this appointment. I prefer to go have lunch with my family or go outside and take a walk. And I wouldn't give myself grace enough to say that like that was okay. And that was something that would still feed me and energize me and fulfill me. And I could take it away from the business side and give it to my family. And I was still okay. I was still in alignment. That was a struggle for me to learn how to do that. Even in my business, there's a large component of the business that's sales, phone calls, right? Reaching out, appointments, that type of stuff. And I made a switch probably 5, 6, maybe 6, 7 years ago, where I was like, man, I'm going to focus on marketing a lot more than I focus on sales, because I believe that the marketing side is going to bring me sales. And for a while, I was heavy on social media. I told you some of this stuff kind of like off camera, but like at the earlier stages when I'm really trying to get some things going in business, I'm spending 4, 5, 6 hours a day on social media.
Yeah.
Now, this is a stark difference from someone that's in sales that's like, I'm spending 5 hours a day picking up the phone and calling somebody. Like if I don't get a result, I didn't work. Like if I don't close an appointment, that's not work.
Right.
That's my mindset. So when I'm switching and saying, well, I'm focused on this marketing stuff, I had to give myself grace after time to be like, no, you are still working. Like this is still work. Like you're giving time and energy and attention and you're finding people and there's a lot happening on the side. Just because you're not making the call doesn't necessarily mean that like you're not working.
Right.
Had to learn how to give myself grace in those areas. And again, like I said, I'm still working on that type of stuff. But I think that point that you said about just us being able to give ourselves grace and know that the plan that we had last season for the summer, for the spring before might not be the plan right now. And we have to be able to have harmony with that and give ourselves grace to be able to still execute on it, you know?
That's excellent, man. That's excellent. And what I love about that story, man, is it captures for the entrepreneur a particular perspective, and it also captures for just the corporate athlete who's going about life another perspective. For the entrepreneur in me, I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense. That's like the difference between hunting, fishing, and gardening, right? So,
Right.
they all require patience, man, but it's a different level, right? You're gardening, you got to trust the process and make sure that, yeah, what I'm doing here, one day something is going to
Right.
peak from the soil, but it's not today,
Right.
right? Fishing out, nothing on the hook, man, but you don't know. So I like that a lot, and it makes a lot of sense, man. And I would say you definitely gave somebody some hope with that story right there. No, give yourself that grace. Um, be about your actions that you're taking, and really pay attention to. I want to say I was going to say revenue generating activities, but but,
Depends, right?
yeah, it depends. It depends how you look at it. How
That's
you
right.
look at it. I think you
That's
can
right.
look at it in life kind of the same way when it comes to your health. What are the revenue generating activities, right? They're
Mm,
very, we all know them. I think we all intuitively feel them,
yeah.
right? Whether it's sleep, time outside, good time laughing with people, placing your foot on earth, sunshine, all that stuff. I think we intuit, not I think, I know intuitively, uh, everybody could tell you, oh, that's good for you,
Mm,
right? The things we typically debate on are things that they're like, Mark,
right.
if there's a strong debate, it's probably not that important, right? Or that great. Should you or should you not drink red wine? There's articles and articles and articles and articles about it. It's probably not going to be the thing to save or kill you, right? But
Right.
should you or should you not drink water? I don't know if that's a debate, right? I don't know if that's a debate, but the things that are great for us are very clear. And I'll
Yeah.
call those the revenue generating activities in terms of when it comes to health and making sure we get a lot of those down. Um,
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes I struggle with this one because it's like it's really simple
Hmm.
when we really pause and think about it, but there's a ton of debate somehow. Somehow there's a lot of debate about it. And I think it ultimately probably comes down to the fact that a lot of us either aren't or don't want to do those things. And so we would rather just kind of debate back and forth on
Mm, you're probably right. Most times
them.
people just don't want to do it, so they just rather talk about it and debate about
Yeah.
it, right?
You
Yeah.
really need to eat good food, or if you work out enough, like doesn't it kind of balance it out? Like, no.
Not at
Yes
all.
and no, but you
Not
should
really.
still.
Absolutely. The debates, right? Like as we again we're talking about for today's show some of the tips as we transition seasons and as we get into this next season. Um Financially there's a bunch of debates going on, right? Like, there's a lot of
Mm.
stuff about where should we put our money? What is happening in our economy? What's going to happen moving forward with the stock market? Will our market rebound, right? Like will we head into a deeper depression, recession, whatever you want to call it? I don't know. I'm not a genie. No one has a crystal ball. We can look at all of the signs, right? We can look at all of the signs and of what's happening in the market. I think at the time of recording this, the Fed just raised interest rates again, another 75 basis points, right? So
Guatemala.
yeah. So, but that was expected, right? That's expected for this stuff to for it continuing to go up. It's the way that it eases spending and all the stuff that happens in the economy to try to balance out this plane a little bit. But for the individual, for someone that's listening right now, you might be having in the debate with somebody about whether we're heading into recession or what's happening or all those types of things. But from a financial standpoint and a wealth tip for you as we head into this new season, it's going to be back to the basics. I feel like those of you that follow us or have been listening to us for some time have probably heard me say this a bunch of different times, but it's still the case because again, sometimes people are hard-headed, man. They don't get the message. But you just got to get organized. That's the tip. This is the season. This is the season to get organized. let's look at all of your finances. This is the time. As we head out of the summer typically for most people is known as like a carefree time financially. You take that extra vacation, you get that extra thing that you wanted, that toy, right? If you're it's a car thing or
Buy
the
that
nice
boat.
of the boat, right? Whatever the toy is, normally comes in the summertime months. That extra vacation, that extra nice restaurant, that right, whatever that stuff is, that normally comes in the summer. So our summer spending can be a little high. Our summer finances can be a little bit out of whack just because it's kind of out of our mind a little bit. Most people still have jobs, but kids are out of school. There's just a lot of moving parts. So, as we're heading into the fall, heading into this next season, first step is getting organized, guys. Get organized. Go back into your spending over the summer and see where your money went. See if there's any places that we need to highlight right away. Like, hey, June, July, August was kind of rough in this area. We went a little hard in the dining out. We went a little hard in the vacations. We went a little hard in the whatever that is. Let's get organized and find out and see how much actually went there. First and foremost, how much went there? What are are there any problem areas in your finances? This is the hardest step for most people. This is the hardest step for basically everyone that's getting started, kind of organizing, looking at their finances, is actually looking at the money. Like actually going in and looking at where you spent money, where the money leaked out to, not just the bills. We all know the bills. We all know our mortgage. We all know the rent. We all know the car insurance and the cell phone and the subscription. Like we get that side. But all of the variable expenses, the miscellaneous things, the things that, again, just were summer fun, how much went there and what was that number? So we can now start to see how to create this plan moving forward. Okay. So, first things first, get organized. Look at the money that's went out over the summer. Let's start to pull in all of the other things. Let's check the savings accounts. Let's check the investment accounts. I know, ladies and gentlemen, you might not want to look at your 401k, or you might not want to look at your 403b, or you might not want to look at it. Just see what the number is. See what's happened over the past 2 quarters, right? Like, let's just see. Get organized. Look at the retirement accounts. September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. Look at your life insurance policies. Look at your beneficiaries. This is organization, right? If you look at your beneficiaries, some of you might have gotten a life insurance policy when you were married to your ex. Some of you might not have even been married when you got a life insurance policy. Some of your beneficiaries might be your dad or you're some random person in your family because you didn't have somebody else. Well, get organized as we go into the fall. Organize, pull out the insurance policies. Let's see. Okay, who are the beneficiaries? Am I good with the coverage? Okay, cool. And then just put them back. But you got to get organized. Let's organize the debt. Maybe we pick up a little extra debt in the summer. Maybe we pick up a little extra on the credit cards, right? Maybe we float a little bit more because we're feeling good. Well, let's check. What are the interest rates on those credit cards? Is there a way to do a 0% APR balance transfer so you cannot pay interest? Can we get those things paid off? Let's get organized. That is the tip, guys, for us going, and this is everyone, right? You make $30,000 a year, you make $130,000 a year, you make $300,000 a year. You got to get organized. You got to get organized. You got to see what's happening with the money. And then we got to have a plan of what to do as we go into this fall season. Because you guys know we're right around the corner from the holidays, right? Kabi can talk about the holiday food side, or right, the holiday eating or movement side, like that stuff. But just in general, the holidays comes with gifts and families and trips and out of town and right, Christmas or whatever you celebrate. So it's going to go right back into another spending season. This is cyclically how it works. So right now it's just time to get organized. Coming out of the summer, get organized, see where all your stuff is, pay attention to all your money, look at it, open up the hood, see what's happening. Then let's create a plan moving into the fall of where our focus lies. Like Kabi said, right? Would you say the what generating activities? The revenue generating
The revenue.
activities. That's right. The revenue generating activities. Same exact concept for your money. What are the things that are going to give you the most bang for your buck? Where are we focused? Is it saving? Is it going harder at investments? Is it building our business? Is it just getting a foundation in place? Is it paying off debt? What's the bang, the biggest bang for our buck? What's the revenue generating activity that we have to pay attention to? That is what's going to help you now kind of move from the summer season into this fall season and eventually right into winter. So hope those tips help somebody.
I think those are fantastic tips, man. And while you're doing that, you can probably double down on that with on the health side as well. Um, it's a double, maybe triple, uh, whatever you want to call it, banger or so coming up here, right? So you go from the summertime to right into the fall time, holiday season, to right into the end of the year celebrations, and this is
Mhm.
what makes New Year resolution so big. All right, not only because it's a cultural phenomenon, but also because it follows this season of like summer. Now it's like, all right, the thing that was probably motivating me before, which is looking good at the beach or looking good in a swim trunk or whatnot. Right now, it's like I got some time. It's a season to celebrate. What is life if you don't celebrate? What is life if you don't have a little extra pumpkin pie with grandma? Right? What? I can't have an extra piece of chicken at Christmas. What is this? Right? Right after Thanksgiving. It's a dangerous time. It's a dangerous time. And I'll say it's a time, it's the best time to reevaluate what it is that's important to you and place emphasis in the right places, right? Not saying you can't have it, not saying you can never do it, not saying it should never be done. Just saying if you line it up, bang, 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 year after year. That's how you get. That's what lead to being big bone in your 30s and 40s. You are not big bone. Your bone's the same damn size. Okay, it's the same size. You did not grow big bone overnight, my brother. So that's always funny. But it's the little check and balances I would put into place that's
Mm,
going to help us. And while you're going ahead and taking an inventory, going back, getting reorganized, take that time as well to rein in the little things on the health side. They kind of go hand in hand in a way, right?
absolutely. They absolutely do go hand in hand, right? Like again, that's why we do the show, right? Health, wealth, right? Like putting all these things together. And there's just a lot of things to now be paying attention to. Again, a lot of what we talk about is awareness, is just becoming more aware of these types of things. And so we want you to be more aware as we transition, because again, transitions are a lot of times the toughest part for people. It's calibrating
Yeah.
kind of where they were and then where they want to go, and now this new season that they're in. It's all transitions, and people really fumble the ball, so to speak, in these transition periods. So we're trying to just give you a little bit of guidance of what to go and do and what to kind of focus on. But it's all about being aware of these areas. The more you transition and go through these seasons, the more you start to learn about yourself and you learn about what you need in these seasons, or again, not over judging yourself or becoming overly critical of yourself in the process, because you're in a transition, and when you're in a transition, these are the things that pop up. So we just want you to be focused on that stuff from a money standpoint. Be focused on just getting organized and getting a solid plan in place for yourself as you go in. Your spending habits in the summer normally greater than your spending habits in the winter, but again, we go right into a holiday season where you'll start spending money potentially also. So take these couple months in here to just recalibrate yourself. Make sure is there some things we got to clean up from the summer, because the last thing we want to do is let this stuff linger into the end of the year and potentially even into the new year, right? so many people from a financial standpoint carry debt into the new year. It's something that you want to try to not do, right? Carry debt into the new year. But right, we all try in the areas that we can, but just know this is the type of stuff that you got to pay attention to from a financial standpoint. And Khabib gave you some of the health things as well.
Brother, I think right there we could probably stop right there. If you do those things, health side, wealth side, that will set you up pretty nicely to transition into the fall season and then into the new year. And if you set yourself up correctly like that, I believe you give yourself a powerful head start, or a powerful entrance into the new year, and you won't be scrambling at oh Lord, there we go, ambulance coming at me again. You won't be scrambling at the end of it all and the beginning of it all to try to kind of put things together when people are, if you can line yourself up in a way where you're kind of like countering to the movement of dominant society, right? When everybody is laying down tons of money to at Christmas, etc. You've planned, you're getting these gifts, so you get them early, or I think you can often find yourself in a much less stressful state if you're able to do those things. Speaking of, I'm gonna go make my list here and make sure I set myself up correctly. I try to put something in place, man. Speaking of the holiday season, first and foremost, save your calories just like you save your money, man. Spend them in the right places. All right. We'll probably do another show on this, but Thanksgiving is coming, followed by Christmas, followed by New Year parties. Those things are coming. So don't eat your way into those things. Eat your way there and then eat your way out and think it's all going to be okay. Why? Because Khabib told you, hey, listen, give yourself some grace. That is not grace, guys. That is not right there. It's not grace. That is planning to fail. And I think when you put yourself in those situations, you get behind the 8 ball. You start the new year. You might go hard again, drop like 8 pounds, and then all of a sudden you say, I'm good. Repeat the same cycle, and then you're net positive the next year out. It's the same thing. These things go hand in hand. So while you're doing both, take your time to knock both out, and you'll feel that much better.
Save your calories like you save your money. I like it. I like it.
Spend it where it counts.
It does. It does. And I think, honestly, man, I think we could wrap it. I think we hit the right. We hit some solid points. Again, the goal was to jump on and make sure that you all had a couple things to be aware of as we head into this new season, because it is a transition, and anytime we transition, we need to recalibrate. And us being your financial coach and your health coach, and right, being able to help you down this path, these are the things to be aware of. If you stay aware of these things, it'll make your transition into the next season a lot smoother. And obviously, then we can head into the end of the year, into the beginning of the year, really hitting our stride, and heading even closer to that good life. So that's what we're here to do, man. Take us home, Khabib.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, maybe next few episodes we'll talk about, organizing the year. To me is similar to, and this might be a little deep in the crates for a few, but how you run the 400 meter in track. Right? You want to come into that last leg cruising. Call that your Usain Bolt. That last fourth quarter, you want to come in with energy, right? You're not generating more power. You're just riding. Boom. You might look left and say, ha ha, I see you, Jared. Go ahead and gain in a few extra pounds here. It's okay, buddy. Don't worry about it. Ha ha, I see you, Mary, spending all that extra money you don't need to spend. That's okay, right? You're coming in and your chest goes through the finish line, and then you rest. With that said, walk with y'all.
That's it. That's when we rest. That's when we rest.
With that said, guys, we appreciate you being with us for another good one. We're gonna have to talk about this move here in a minute. I feel like I got plenty of tips. If you are moving, goodness gracious, it can wear you out. But if you plan correctly, you can do it. Well, man, I thought I planned correctly, and it still wore me out. So Give yourself some grace. If you took some tips from this, make sure you implement them. Send it to somebody who will love or hate this, because all press is good press. And until next time, we're out. Peace.